Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, Boots on the Ground, where we spotlight professionals in the field who have overcome challenges and how they work through them. Their stories offer real-world insights and tips for thriving in today's competitive landscape.
Good morning. John Johnson here with Get Your Mind Right, the world's only podcast dedicated to digital marketing and merchant services professionals. With me today is Bree Miracle.
Hello.
Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great having you back again.
Yes.
So, Bree, you are a frequent visitor to this podcast here.
Absolutely.
And the reason is you've got a lot of really valuable things to share with our audience here.
That's true.
So this is an extension of a couple times that we've met before, and based on a series that you did several months ago, ironically called Get Your Mind Right, on digital prospecting and selling digital. I don't know where in the world you got that idea, but I mean, that is genius.
Yeah, I came up with it myself. I'm kidding. It came from you.
Well, for our audience out there, Bree is a great person to have. She speaks from a great place of credibility. For Evolve last year, she sold more products than anyone in her whole franchise. So that's a testament to her expertise and her command of the digital products. So for you folks that missed this, we have a couple of previous episodes that are tied into this. Bree, you talked about prospecting, how you go after verticals, what your talk tracks look like, how you uncover pain points with the merchant. And really, what my big takeaway with that is you're telling the merchants a lot of things that they don't already know, that things are going to dramatically impact their business.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's a great strategy. I encourage everyone to go back and check those episodes out. So, Bree, what I want to talk to you about today is that when you've got a merchant, you've uncovered their pain points, you've qualified them, how you handhold them or really walk them through the process. Because this is a decision, right? We're asking someone to pay money.
Right.
They're going to invest. They're looking for a return on investment. Like, for example, I know in the past I've run into a lot of businesses where they say, well, we don't really invest in any sort of promotion because we're word of mouth.
Absolutely.
How are you going to deal with that merchant?
I hear that on a daily basis. Daily basis. And I even tell people sometimes, I can see that your business is word of mouth because we have tools that I can see how that they're showing up online. So I'll be the first one to say it sometimes. If anybody who tells me, oh, Bree, I've been in business for so long, I'm word of mouth, that's great. That's where every business wants to be. However, do you know phone numbers and addresses off the top of your head?
No.
I sure don't. So if somebody said, hey, you need to go to Larry's Automotive down the road. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to Google search Larry's Automotive. And if somebody has better SEO than you, or just so happens, if you're familiar with the automotive space like I am, there's probably about 15 Larry's Automotives. They're all the same. So unless you have pretty good SEO behind your website, you may potentially be losing customers off of your word of mouth. In addition to that, Bree, I don't have a website. I'm word of mouth. I'll be retiring in 5 years. That's great. Would you like to sell your business or pass it down to one of the people that you hold dear? Yes, I would like to sell it one day. Okay, great. Don't you think that your business would be more profitable by having a digital presence already, which is so relevant? Yeah, probably. Okay, we don't have to do anything robust. We're not talking about spending thousands of dollars a month in your specific needs. Why don't we have a conversation how we could potentially make your business more profitable when it comes time for you to sell it? And then it just opens the conversation into more things. We're not talking about SEO strategies with him particularly. We're more talking about getting your name out there, hours, things like that. That's a less intimidating for that type of merchant.
So really what you're doing is with these merchants that really are hanging their hat on this, that we're word of mouth, is you're amplifying that notion of the word of mouth.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So talk to me about how you do this in context of folks that where you're managing their listings or you want them to get found by Google. What's that look like, walking them through the decision-making process?
Absolutely. So it's best if you can be in front of them or on a Zoom call whenever I'm talking about listings specifically, because there's a term that I use when I'm not on a Zoom call is having a website. It starts with that. So having a website without having any kind of SEO is like paying for a billboard that's out in the middle of the desert. adding in those keywords, phrases, frequently asked questions is like moving that billboard to a busy highway. Then your listings tool comes in, and it's like taking that
That's a good
billboard
analogy.
and multiplying it by 100. So not only is it expanding your business, if you're wanting to increase it, if you're one of those reputation guys, it's locking that business information in, keeping your competitors from going in there and changing business hours to close or phone numbers to their own, whatever that may be.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's say you've gotten through this process, right? And you've got a proposal out to the merchant. What sort of additional steps do you take, or what are additional tools you have at your disposal that's going to help this client along his journey to eventually becoming your client?
Yeah, there are several tools that Austin has created for me as well. One being, we have really great case studies all the way down, which is, kind of our advantage is if I sign someone up on processing, or maybe a potential rep does out in the field, and then we do digital, I'm able to see their processing volume go from what they had before to us, and then we generate that into a case study.
Getting both sides of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're able to put that, and it's very powerful for a merchant to see dollar revenue, because they ask that. If I don't have their processing volume, I can just say, like, I can't give you a tangible number. It's unfortunate, but you never want to give false hope, right? Next is we really use, if so there's somebody that says, Bree, I want to take it to the next level. I need calls tomorrow. I'm able to run Google ad projection. So that way they can say, okay, if I invest $1,000, this is how many people I'm going to get in front of, and then how many phone calls I can generate past that. On top of all of that, we have these campaigns where the more that they spend with Google, the more that they get. So we have things to match. That way it just helps them kind of guide themselves into the entry. Those would be probably the most two. And then of course we have a fantastic proposal that lines out absolutely everything, that just reassures. I can't tell you how many times I have met with somebody and says, Bree, this is the most detailed proposal I've ever seen. I feel very reassured by what you've told me because of all of this information. So those four things are really what, amplifies even further what we're doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really love your usage of case studies and white papers on that. I really feel like a lot of account executives and sales reps, they really miss a great opportunity there, because what you're doing is that, the implied contract between you and a prospective client is that, they know that you're there to affect a transaction.
Right.
I mean, that's, no one has to say that. Yeah. That's no secret whatsoever. And therefore, it's things that you're saying. Okay. So it's couched and framed by that. Whereas a white paper, that's something that someone else has said, or the results of what you've done.
Yep.
And I know that not just for me, but for clients, that resonates really, really well. It's one thing to say it, but you're proving and you're showing how you've affected another business. That's really, really big stuff. Talk to me about, like, you said something too. I had a note here on incentive participation. What's that about?
Incentive participation is more on the lines of they get a % off whenever they are running specific Google ads. So if they spend $500, they get $500. That's an incentive program.
Okay.
We'll run that a few times a year. Also, incentive programs would be something that we can help them implement for their customers.
Gotcha.
So if there's somebody like, Bree, I really want to do a text campaign, but I have no idea where to start. Okay, here are some case studies that we've done with other people in your avenue that have worked very well. And we'll go back and forth. We do that with social media as well. It's less incentive program, but more like, okay, I saw somebody get great traction doing this. Let's recreate that and make it more your own on that side. Very collaborative on that side.
Excellent. Now, I know you do some things with co-ops, right?
Yep.
So let's just say that a rep calls into you and they're wanting to tap into co-op money, but they don't have any idea what it is or where to start. What sort of advice would you offer them?
I would need to know their distributors and who they use. We have a whole co-op concierge program where most of these people, anywhere from engine companies to I don't know, motorcycle companies. There's even things for like guns and things like that where everyone seems to offer co-op dollars, which the best, most layman's way terms I can explain this, like Starbucks stars every single time you make an order with your distributor.
Yeah, pretty much any national brand has co-op dollars for its distributors.
Yep.
Right.
And they're able to take those co-op dollars and put it towards their marketing plan.
Yeah.
Most of the time, 50% of upfront is being paid for on a monthly with their website development. 50% of their listings tool and their hostings are offered for them. We send off that invoice for them. We'll learn the program on their behalf and then execute their co-op reimbursement on their behalf again.
Mm-hmm. So I know from personal experience and talking to merchants that I'd hate to guess what the number is nationally. But co-op dollars going unexpired or going, I should say, expired and unused is very, very common. I'd like to hear what your opinion on why that is.
It's in the millions. And I think because sales reps that, we're very busy people, we just forget things. Sales reps forget to educate their customers on co-op dollars. And B, they do this on purpose, but they make guidelines that are very hard to follow because they don't want you to redeem this free money that they've given you.
Right.
So they make it hard, and also it's timely. They have to remember to order XYZ, send in the invoice, make sure that comes back. So by streamlining that process, they love you even more because they're just collecting a check they didn't do anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know what, that's a loaded question because I know what you're doing with this, right? Mm-hmm. But what I've seen and what I've heard a lot from merchants is they'll say, well, it's more trouble than it's worth, right? Yeah. They're busy running their business. Mm-hmm. So, I know you've been really successful, once again, making it easy on them.
Yeah.
So, the thing I would suggest you folks out there too is when you're talking to your client, your merchant about this, is ask them if they have co-op dollars available. And I want to talk about this another time, Bree, but I know you're heavily involved in a flip-in program and you can help your partners redeem those co-op dollars.
Absolutely.
So a couple of things I had here before we wrap up is you talked also about developing educational campaigns. Mm-hmm. Tell me what that is.
That's loaded. It's going to depend on different industries. So for example, I'm more talking about this with my partners. I offer them educational webinars on a monthly basis. So I get with their regional vice presidents, and then I will peer into each branch and I will educate them basically on how to identify an opportunity, which will then give me additional leads.
Wow.
I have also done this with auto shops as well, where I met with their team and I basically went through with them how to have a review strategy. There's also other tools. It just depends on where it plays, where I have helped merchants guide them into how can we do drop shipping and also setting up where I'm taking a third party Viv and then the merchant, and we're having these collaborative conversations to extend our product offering, but then also offering it to someone else.
This is so smart and effective because you're doing a number of things there, right? You're delivering on your value proposition is that we want to drive your sales, right? Yep. You're also winning, of course, when you drive your sales. I know you're processing the transactions, which is great, right? The other thing is you're really making these merchants attrition proof.
Yes.
You continue to add this value. You're showing them, you're demonstrating, hey, here's why you're spending those dollars. This is your return on investment. You're constantly giving them ideas on how to drive their sales more. And then, of course, for referrals, this just really greases the skids for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like that. I'm beginning to understand why you sold more products than anyone else last year.
By doing all of these things, I feel like the more value you add to a merchant, A, they're never going to leave you. B, their processing dollars goes up, so it makes us more money. But then also they start referring me business from their friends. I can't tell you how many referrals I've gotten just from asking, hey, I know that you love me. Do you have anybody else that you think would love me too? And then I signed one yesterday just off of a referral.
Yeah, it's at that point, to your point anyway, it's an organic process, right?
Yeah.
You've done a lot for that merchant. So for them to give something back, it's a small thing. The other thing I've seen too is a lot of reps are really reluctant to ask for referrals. They feel like they've got their hat in their hand, but they're not, because what I find is virtually every business owner, most of the time, they have a family member that owns a business, and 100% of the time, they have friends that own businesses. And just like you'd recommend a movie or a restaurant to your friends, well, a business owner, they want to help their friends become more successful.
Exactly.
And it's just natural that they're going to refer you into that.
Yep.
Well, Bree, this has been great.
Yeah.
This has been great. I know you've got many other topics that you've talked about in the past, and some point in the future, I would love to have you back.
Awesome. I would love to be back.
So once again, guys, this is Bree Miracle with Evolve. John Johnson here. And until next time, keep your mind right.
Keep your mind right.
That means you, Bree.
And your merchant's mind right.